Peace be with everybody this morning. How are you today? I hope you're great. I want to say hi to everybody. It's a little delayed this morning, getting my granddaughter off to school today. I want to talk a little bit about centering prayer today because some people have been asking me to do a little bit of teaching around that to give them a little refresher or to get them going with the practice. And so I have a quote today this morning from the Cloud of Unknowing. A short prayer pierces heaven. A short prayer pierces heaven. The practice of centering prayer uses very short prayers or mantras that pierce the human heart, that open the lens inside, that open the eye inside ourselves. Open the eye inside ourselves. I'll give you a little background on centering prayer here for those of you who don't know. And I'm going to read a little bit here. Cistercian monk, Father Thomas Keating, is a co-founder of Centering Prayer, along with a few other people, William Menninger and Basil Pemington. Theophane Boyd came along a little bit later. But they founded Centering Prayer, and Abbot Keating was the abbot at St. Joseph's Abbey outside of Boston, west of Boston, maybe 60 miles in a very remote place called Spencer, a couple thousand acres at this monastery. And Menninger had uh, been given the task to find a way to bring young people back into the church because they were leaving for Eastern practices. And so he went to a place called the Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts, which is in middle of Massachusetts, where you may know this name, Jack Cornfield, or this name, Susan Salzberg and Joseph Goldstein. These three people founded the Insight Meditation Society, and it was a form of Theravada Buddhism. And the Menninger, using the practices that he found in the Cloud of Unknowing and some other works like Teresa of Avila's books and the Desert Fathers, St. John of the Cross, kind of combined these into the practice of centering prayer. And what it does is it uses a method of that's sort of um, I know that Cornfield went on and he practices and teaches Vipassana yoga. So there's some similarity between Vipassana yoga and centering prayer practice, but it's mostly about learning to have a strong practice of interior silence. And the interior silence is its contemplative form of prayer. And originally it was called contemplative meditation, which is how I learned it back in '77 in my Catholic high school. That's what it was called back then. But I'm going to read a little bit thing here from Thomas Merton because Merton had an influence in this as well. Uh, let's see. It says in his book Contemplative Prayer, Merton writes, monastic prayer begins not so much with considerations as with a return to the heart, not so much with considerations as with a return to the heart. And that's what the practice of centering prayer does. It brings us back into the heart. So it's a very heartful meditation. And so because people were asking, and I'm looking here to make sure I shut off my cell phone so that it doesn't go off in the middle of this, but people were asking to give a little review about centering prayer practice so that they had an idea what we were doing here. It's very simple. Feet flat on the floor. I'm sitting in a straight back chair. I often put my hands in this Zen form, tuck them up against my body, put my thumbs against my belly. And if my thumbs tip out, it means I'm not concentrating. I have to put a little focus on my thumbs sometimes. Sometimes I put my hands flat on my lap, but I relax my body. I take a particular prayer. I use the Jesus prayer. You can use another short prayer because a short prayer pierces heaven. A short prayer could be Om. It could be God is love. It could be forgive me. It could be any of these very short prayers. I use the same prayer again and again and again, 10,000 times, 10,000 times. So it burns itself into the back of my head because the prayer itself falls away in this practice. The prayer itself is not the most important part. The training of the mind is the most important part. And so I ride my prayer on my palm like a chickadee or a butterfly. Just sits there on my palm. I don't grasp at it, and I ride it on my breath up and down. And I repeat my prayer again and again and again on my breath into my belly and back up into my head. That's the basics of it. And when my mind wanders off, I simply go back to repeating my prayer again. That's the basics of it. So today, have you ever used DMT or ayahuasca? I have not taken DMT or ayahuasca, but we could talk about that after. Um, I have. I'd like to talk about that at some point, but right now I want to focus in on this for those folks who are practicing with us today. So today, I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you to sit and begin your practice up here in your third eye. Focus all of your energy up here, and if you want to, you can run between your heart and your third eye. And for the more advanced students, you can run between your your third eye through your pineal gland, down your back, down to your root chakra. Or there are all these other things you can do too. You can just run between here and your root chakra, or the third eye and your sacral chakra. There's a lot of ways you can use this. But the basic technique is breathe in and breathe out and repeat your prayer over and over again. I use my prayer to focus in without my imagination on my chakras. I hope that's not too much information for you this morning, but some people were asking about how it works. That's basically it. It's super simple. I'm setting my clock here, going for my timer. Um, all right. Before we begin, to answer your question, Paul, no, I've never done DMT or ayahuasca. I think that they have value, and I think that the studies at Johns Hopkins University, in particular with psilocybin and their transcendental experiments over the last 10 years, show that shows that there's proof that a journey like that can enhance your spiritual life, and particularly in a clinical setting. So, my friends, enough about that stuff this morning. Let's go into our practice. I'm going to begin with 3 ohms, filling my lungs and my belly, and I'm going to energize my my energy body, my subtle body with ohms, and I'm vibrating in my chest, vibrating in my throat chakra, vibrating in my third eye, and then after those 3, I'm going to relax and just belly breathe. And at the top of my breath, I leave a little pause, and at the bottom of my breath, I leave a little pause. You can follow along with my breath. You'll be able to hear it through the microphone. So here we go. Where's my mask? I like to cut out the light in my eyes because these lights are bright. All right. You all ready? Here we go. A short prayer pierces heaven. Thanks for coming today, everybody. I hope your meditation was as peaceful as mine. It's a good way to start the day. Thanks, Kristen, for the super chat. I appreciate it. It's been a half an hour since we began. Hey, Project Eden, good morning. And I'll say good morning to everybody, to Russell, Wendy, Catherine, Charles, Kristen, thanks again. Mel G. Well, thanks for saying that, Mel G. Rick, good morning, MG. Wanda, Karen Elise, Tamara, Corley, Paul. Well, everybody, as you know, it's hard to talk after. One of these days, Paul, we will talk about those. I think I've talked about them in a couple of different places. I think I talked a little bit about it to Shaman Oaks, about psychedelics. You're welcome, Russell. Thanks for coming, everybody. Tip up my hat so you can see my eyes this morning. Peace and love to you all. I feel a radiance inside me. I don't know if you do. I hope you do. We gather together in order to energize our subtle bodies, to bring the light into the world and to share it with each other in our practice. Peace and love to you all. I'll see you soon. See you Wednesday. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing. Adarasha. Peace to you in India. Peace. Namaste.